Hey everybody, today in the podcast we're going to be talking about failing forward during this next season of life. Soren and I have had some hilarious mess ups with kid schedules lately and all the things, and I'm spilling it all today on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast with Kilee Nickels. I made the unlikely transition from stay-at-home mom to CEO of a multi-million-dollar leading fashion brand. At Nickel & Suede, we empower the everyday woman to step into her story more boldly, one life-changing accessory at a time. The goal of this podcast is to inspire you through both my story and the stories of other powerhouse women to take that first step towards living the best version of your life. So grab a notebook, grab a pen, and get ready to get started with Kilee Nickels. Hey everybody, happy Friday. Glad to be back with you. You are with Kilee Nickels, and today I'm excited to be talking to you. I wouldn't go so far as to say we're in a post-COVID world, that's for sure, but we are just moving forward, and I feel like there is such a sense of optimism with the new season and with vaccines rolling out, and just a lot of people feeling a lot better about where things are going and what we can do and where we can spend our time. And a few weeks ago, we talked about how to get dressed for 2021. If you haven't listened to that podcast, that one's great. It gives you some tips about how to approach your closet after your sweatpants. But today, I want to talk about kind of this return to busy and return to normal. I realize everything won't look the same 100%, but there's just some things that are coming back, which is just really fun and really great. I know in the Midwest, we've had things open for quite a while, but still, this week is the first week that my middle schooler is going to school 4 days a week instead of just 2. And so there's just certain things that continue to roll out. I know in lots of parts of the country, we've got restaurants still having some restrictions and movie theaters and things. So as the next seasons come, I'm excited to see just everyone feeling so much better and so much relief across the country. So as I said, in the Midwest, we've returned to a lot of normal, and for our family, that has also included spring sports. Last year, spring sports were totally canceled. Our lifeline was karate. We have 4 out of our 5 boys in karate, and so we were able to do that via Zoom or in person with masks. And so we were glad to have those sports, but we also have spring soccer and baseball coming back up. We've got t-ball in the works, and so at our house, where things are getting a lot busier, which is different than the last year for sure. Last year was busy for different reasons with work, trying to keep everybody just surviving. But now we're able to go back to, and it's that familiar feeling of, oh yeah, this is what it's like to have activities every night again. I've been so excited about it, actually. I've been really encouraged and just so happy to have my kids being able to participate in things they love. One of my boys started piano this week, which has been a dream of mine to be like, let's get the kids in piano. And so for the most part, I'm just feeling really grateful and really excited about it. And part of that is because as an entrepreneur over the last few years, building our business and having so much to do in my own life, just keeping 5 kids alive and then trying to get a business going, started, employees, all things. I feel like my kids' activities have fallen off the radar. It's been so hard to even just get kids signed up for things because there's just so much going on. So I know a lot of working moms, working parents can relate to that, like missing the deadline or being late to stuff all the time. And so what I really wanted to talk about tonight is that feeling and experience is coming back for me, and how do we approach that feeling of, oh man, this is what it's like to be busy and late and embarrassed and feeling like the worst parent on the team and feeling like the one who can never participate in PTA and all the things. And, sometimes I try to think, oh, it's probably just me. I'm the only one. I'm the worst one. But I think a lot of us struggle with this, especially with working and with kids and activities and all the things. So first, I just kind of wanted to admit all of the ways I have totally missed the boat in the last 2 weeks. We started sports, like I said, and even during COVID, I tried really hard to get organized in our family. So I've been having this like big push for organization and having a calendar and really knowing when everything is. And so I think I've mentioned that I have meals planned out a full month in advance so that I know when I'm eating every single night. That has helped tremendously. So these things are helping. I've got a big calendar whiteboard with our schedule on it. And I should say this isn't totally my strength. I will let this stuff fall on the wayside, whereas I know some women live and die by this stuff. So I've really had to work hard for this organization. And so as sports were coming, I was like, okay, I'm going to get everybody's things on the calendar and scheduled. And so I wanted to admit all the things that have gone wrong despite all that organization, because I think sometimes on social media, Instagram, it looks like people have it together. And I'm like, if people only knew how many things I missed this week. So, we had one night where one of my kids had soccer pictures, and I knew that was happening. And so I ran home to get him, and I took him to the park. And then when I got there, I realized, oh no, when are Easton's soccer pictures? Surely those are tonight too. He's at home. And I look at an email and it says 6:30. Well, it was 6:00 at the time. So I'm like, how am I going to get Easton here? I got to call Soren. He's got to leave work right away, go home, get Easton, bring him over here. I'm like, do I have enough cash in my wallet to pay for Baker's pictures? I don't even know. Do they take cards? So I'm dealing with that at the park. And then Soren runs home, gets Easton. He's like, okay, great. Got him. We're on our way. Then I look at the email and I'm like, why did I not know about this ahead of time? And I look at the email and it's like next Tuesday at 6:30. And I'm like, ah! So I call Soren and I say, never mind, false alarm. Sorry. He said, we're already on our way. We'll just come play at the park. We play at the park. Great. Then I take Easton and some of the kids home. And as soon as I pull in the driveway, it's like 7:05. And I'm like, Easton's supposed to be at his youth night activity right now at the church next to the park we were just at. I literally have to change him and take him right back to where I was. I could have known this ahead of time. Like, what the heck? And so it was just like thing after thing that night that I just did not. I'm like, this could have gone perfectly. And it totally went as wrong as it could go. Another example, we had sports on Saturday. We had soccer games. And since I have 2 kids in soccer, I knew that this would get me. But I, first of all, couldn't find the field without walking the entire loop like twice for Baker's game, which we were early for until I couldn't find the field. Then we were late. And then after the game's over, they're all 5-year-olds, they all come running over to me and they're like, snacks. And I'm thinking, did Baker tell everybody we just have a lot of snacks in our bag? And the coach is like, oh, do you not get the email? Like, you guys were signed up for snack this week. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I don't know how many of you have kids and what ages, but the 5-year-old kids really care about the snack. And a lot of first time, like, parents, I think we have parents of maybe 1 or 2 kids on our team. They're like they have it together and soccer's important. And I'm way not that way. Baker's my 4th. I'm like, this is great. Glad you get to do this activity. I can barely remember a lot of things. So I was like, well, I do have granola bars, fruit snacks. I mean, take your pick, guys. And the coach is kind of like, oh, I have Gatorade and like legit soccer game snacks in the car. I'll go get those. So anyways, I was kind of mortified, but I was also kind of like, oh, well, we'll get it next time. But then I'm like, okay, we got to move over for Easton's next game. And the kids look strangely big, and so does the field. And so anyways, I had looked at the older kids team schedule. They also have a coach with the name of Easton's coach. And so come to find out, Easton had missed a game earlier that morning, and his game in the afternoon was at a totally different time. So anyways, I called Soren because he was taking kids to karate. You're getting a sense of my life right now. But I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. I need help. This is so maddening. I had this perfectly planned out. I have it together, and I hate looking like I don't have it together. I do. I really do have it together, even though all the evidence points differently today. And so that was just really frustrating. I'm sure many of you maybe have had that circumstance. Maybe it's just me. But last example is we're getting ready to go to town, so I'm realizing it's the time of year I need to do summer school registration, which in our town, summer school is a thing, and it is very much like normal school. You just get another month of school in June. It's amazing. I love it as a working parent. And so I'm looking like, I better do the sign up before we go to town. Well, I get on there and I have 1 day left to get everybody registered if they want to be able to ride the bus. And oh yeah, I haven't registered Baker for kindergarten this year at all. He's going to be starting. And so it's just this like chaos, like surprise wave of 2 hours of paperwork that I wasn't expecting to do. Now I got it all done, and sometimes that in itself is just a feat. But I just wanted to give you a sense of this is what I am juggling all the time. Like as a working parent, as a entrepreneur, as a mom of 5, like there's just all these things that we're juggling. And so you'll probably start to have experiences like this too as we go back to normal, as we get busy again, as we have meetings scheduled at night and youth group activities and all this stuff. And I love it. I'm so thankful for it. But I wanted to give you some tips as to how I'm processing this as I live through this chaos right now. So my first tip would be start where I started, start creating systems that help. So do create the whiteboard calendar, and get everybody on there and give everybody a color and just make sure you update that every month. It really does help. Get your meal calendars planned out. Meals with sports is so hard. But if you can know what you're going to have and a time that you're going to eat it, it'll save you so much money. Otherwise you'll be eating Panda every night and paying $60 just to get 5 kids fed, which you don't want to do. And then also get your phone calendar synced with your husband so that you or your spouse or partner, that you have those appointments in there on a calendar you guys can both see. So start there. Definitely start with the systems and with the calendaring, and that's great. But number 2 is I would say expect your best laid plans to fail. And give yourself grace for that. So no matter how organized you are, and no matter how much you try to really have everything on the calendar, something is going to slip. For if you're me, it's going to be a lot of things. If you're you, it might just be one thing, but expect that things are going to slip. And I think where we get the most frustrated and the most embarrassed and the most just feeling terrible is when we are surprised that our plans don't work out. I said to Soren, I have it all together. Why do I look like I don't have it all together? And so being surprised that it didn't all work perfectly, I think really gets us, because we have these unrealistic expectations. You're going to miss an email. You're going to get the time or the day wrong, and that's okay. So be prepared and just say, I can handle it if it doesn't work out. If one thing happens that I didn't expect, I can handle and manage through it. Okay. Number 3, be willing to ask for help. So Soren did compliment me after that crazy weekend of soccer. He was really nice, and he just pointed out, what I love watching is, he said, I love watching you fail through all of these things. He said, and not because I want you to fail. I think it's so cute how much you've planned and you've tried. He's like, but it is so you that like you would not see the snack sign up. That's just classic Kilee. But he said, I love how you react to it. I love that you reacted to it with shaking it off. You were frustrated by it, but you also said, I need help with this. And so asking for help from your spouse or from your mom or your mother-in-law or your babysitter, just know yourself and start getting help if you think, you're having a hard time juggling it all. So my last tip, number 4, is to be grateful for those around you and compliment them when they have it all together. So one of our soccer coaches, he has got it together. My goodness. I mean, I've seen quite a few volunteer soccer coaches, and he has got it together. Now, I totally failed by not fulfilling his snack schedule, but man, does he have it together, and I really appreciate it, and I know how hard that is to keep it so organized and be so communicative and things. And so I think if we can take the focus off ourselves and maybe our own failing or missing or being late, and just really show appreciation for the people who do have it together, because we know it's hard, and say, thank you so much for being so communicative. Thank you so much for being here early and always just having my back, really will, I think, shift the feeling in that exchange. Part of where the feeling frazzled comes in for me is the sense of pride. Like I said, I should have it all together. I do have it all together. I don't want to look like I don't. And that's just being prideful. And so I think if we can be realistic and humble and say, sorry that we're late, we'll try hard next time. I'm calling you and warning you that we're late, or I totally forgot that. Can I make it up by bringing them next week? That fixes every scenario. We don't have to show up perfect every time. We just need to show up authentic and super humble and apologetic or grateful. All those things really create that sense of community with the people that you're engaging in these things with. So life is beautiful. It's been a different last year, and we're coming into this really beautiful season of spring and summer. And I would say life is beautiful even and especially when it's messy. So I think we should work on focusing on being grateful for things we get to do again and the beauty in that, rather than trying to show up perfectly for all those things. So I know this is advice that I need to take, and I'm going to be implementing going forward as we continue to have busy things and all that comes with a busy family and working and being an entrepreneur. But all those things are really beautiful. It's really fun to have such an interesting, busy, crazy life. And I think if we can keep that perspective on it, we will show up so much happier in all the things we're participating in. So I hope that message rang true for you and will maybe help you as you approach this upcoming season. And I'll see you again next week. Thanks for listening today to With Kilee Nickels. I hope that today you felt empowered to take one more step towards living the best version of you. Tune in next week for another episode, and in the meantime, you can find us elsewhere on the internet. You can find me on Instagram at Kilee Nickels and at Nickel and Suede. You can also find us at nickelandswade.com. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.